This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings. Online at madeformorerealty.com.
So before we get into the top reasons why contracts, why escrows, why people looking to buy a house decided, hey, I'm going to cancel this and wait, why they fell out in June. Matt, you had some questions about...
Yeah, because you mentioned before the break that you and Valerie had purchased your first home at a young age, a week before you were even married?
Yeah.
Did your parents think, oh, this is crazy, why are you taking such a big leap even before you're married?
This is why I love having Valerie on the show. It's like a trip down memory lane. So to give you some...
This is why she's your favorite number one guest.
Number one and number two.
And number two.
So the reason, so to add some context, to add some color to the situation, mind you, I am living in a trailer park in South Bakersfield, technically right next to a town called Pumpkin.
Are you living with your family
Center.
or you're living alone in a trailer park?
I'm living alone in a trailer park. It's actually my dad's trailer, so it's not even my trailer. And I'm working in the oil fields.
At least you had your own place. You weren't living at home, know?
Yeah.
The way things are nowadays, a lot of people at that age are still living at home.
Nope. I was living in a trailer park. My neighbors were Janet and Lloyd. And... Southland RV. You can.
Did it have wheels on it, or this?
Oh no, it had wheels.
Oh,
like
it did.
you hook it up to a truck and you pull it. Yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Like not a mobile.
I loved it. I'd be living there now.
So you were renting it. You didn't own it.
My dad owned it.
Did you have to pay him rent, or was this free?
So he let me stay there. I paid the space rent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was the situation. But so Valerie and I engaged. We got engaged on February 29th, 2012, and so we were going to get married on March 30th, 2013. So during this period of time, I'm researching about how I can buy a house. I'm like, okay, I'm getting married. I need to buy a house. And Valerie doesn't want to live in the trailer. So we got to find an alternative here. So what I did, I asked around some people about, hey, how did you buy your first house? I got some vague answers. I wasn't comfortable with the information. They didn't seem comfortable giving the information. And so I was like, you know what? Books are cheap or free at the library. So I ended up reading over 1,000 pages on how to buy real estate. And during that process, something that stood out to me was buying a multifamily property where you can live in one part of the property and rent out the other. And so that ended up being the first house Valerie and I had. We bought it in Bakersfield.
Oh, were you living in Bakersfield at the time?
Yeah.
So where did you find this property? How did you search for this? Did you just go online? You were looking for...
Was the realtor.
The realtor found it. I did not have a smartphone at this time.
So you got a realtor
literally.
And you're saying, this is what I'm looking for.
Anything that was like 2 units or more and within our budget, obviously.
Within the budget, yeah. And so she got, we closed on the house a week before we got married.
And how much was that?
The purchase price?
Yeah.
I think it was like $189.
I don't even know if it was that high.
No, because I think we sold it for $189.
We sold it.
So it was like $140 something, I think.
Or $180. I think it was $180. I don't remember.
And it was 2 units. You lived in one, which was what, 700 square feet, or how many?
Yeah, it was like, I would say probably 800 or 900 square feet. It was a little 3-bedroom, 1 bath.
Oh, so it was, okay.
And then in the back, like, because it was a big lot, right? And there was an alley access. And so in the back.
It was 1 bath. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The pink tile. Yeah.
You don't need more than 1 bath for 2 people.
Well, when your resale value, typically more than 1 bathroom is good. But we had a whole like little in-law unit in the back that was probably like 200 square feet. It was so
really?
small.
I'm thinking like a 4-plex or a triplex or something.
Well,
so this
we got there
This is a
eventually.
regular house with some kind of shed in the back.
Okay, 400 square feet maybe. It wasn't a shed. It was like a real, it had laundry, it had a kitchen, it had a bathroom. Cool. It was a real like rentable unit.
Okay.
So
Studio, like a flat.
Yeah, so we rented to a friend from church, and he, because he was also kind of in the same phase where he was thinking about getting married to his girlfriend, and so they were making those plans, and he needed somewhere to live.
And save some money. Super nice guy.
So you guys had some income from that rent.
Yeah, helped offset the mortgage.
Helped offset the mortgage. Yeah, I pulled it up right now. So it's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,486 square feet.
Oh, 14.
Because what happened, I think where you're confused is they enclosed the breezeway.
The breezeway.
Yeah.
They counted that as square footage. Interesting.
Yeah.
When you bought it, they had enclosed it, or this is later?
It was already.
It was already. We didn't do really any work.
You didn't
on
do
it.
any work on it, but yet you still sold it for more than you had bought it for?
We just waited. The market was going up. Oh my gosh, it still has the same tile.
No way.
You're looking at the
I'm
picture.
I
looking
thought
at
they
it right
rehabbed
now.
it.
Remember, guys,
They
this is
rehabbed-
Bakersfield.
They rehabbed one of the. Oh, I love Bakersfield.
Me too.
They rehabbed one of the bathrooms, but not the kitchen.
Really?
At least in the photos. Yeah. And so it's
Straight out of the 1940s.
Its estimate right now is $380.
Nice.
So
This is why you buy and hold real estate, folks. Like
Yeah.
we could have made 200 grand off that place if we still owned it.
13 years ago, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
still having that rental income come in, you know?
Yeah.
yeah. We ended up selling it though because we didn't want to be long distance landlords. That was
Oh,
something.
because you hadn't moved?
Yeah,
We had
yeah.
to
So
move.
we closed on the property. So some of the things that we tell people, you do this because
Not to do.
It's because you've lived through it, right?
Yeah.
You've lived
Right.
through it. And so we bought the house. I was working for a company named PCL in Bakersfield. I was a contractor in the oil fields. I ended up getting a job for Chevron in the oil fields. I didn't even think about Chevron shipping me back to Coalinga, where I'm from, where I'm born and raised. It turns out that's the only reason why I was hired. So
Because nobody else would go.
because nobody wanted to go to Coalinga. So we closed on the house in March. I started my job with Chevron in June, and in August they had me working in Coalinga. And so not even a few months later, I wasn't even living in the house anymore. And so we had to then rent out the front and the back unit, and we were long distance landlords.
We did that for a year.
And that's tough because you probably
But it
didn't have a
was-
property manager or anything like that, right?
No, we
Or
did.
you?
We used a property manager out the gate.
Oh,
But
okay.
they weren't good. And
No, in
it was,
Bakersfield. In Bakersfield.
No, I know. And I feel like, or they weren't good, or we weren't cash flowing, or whatever the situation was.
Yeah,
we just were like, we need to sell this. We can't.
Yeah, the cash. It was really tight on the cash flow. Like it was costing us, I think, a little bit every month to do it, but costing us a little versus costing us a lot if we were to sell it for a loss. So we waited it out and sold the property. And I don't
Like
think
less than 2 years later.
we ended up not losing money, but we didn't make a whole lot either.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to be those long distance landlords.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, good experience for that first, purchase.
Yeah, yeah. And but you know what? When we closed on that first house, we realized owning a home is much different than being a tenant. The main line was backed up. We had to fix that. There was like a slew of things that went wrong.
Yeah.
And
But we realized that we could be making income off of it. So then we did it again a few more times because it just having that income, even if you're living there, is just like a game changer. It's such
Yeah.
a cool thing to do.
yeah, it was definitely a pivotal moment when all of a sudden somebody like a friend hands you a check. I don't know what it was, $600 or $800. Like not like it's not like I won the lottery.
Yeah.
But he hands me a check and I did like nothing for it except let him crash on the couch, so to speak.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. Well,
How
this
many
is cool.
available types of property? How many of those types of property are available in our area that someone could do what you guys did?
There's a number of them. There's duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes.
Yeah.
Anything over 4 is considered commercial, and so the requirement changes. But as far as
But you're saying they're out there
absolutely,
100%.
for a first-time home buyer to take advantage of where they live in one unit and rent out the other unit.
yeah.
Most of them are not like shiny, special
Sure.
new houses. Like they're
Like all of those multifamilies are built in the 70s.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause they're not building those anymore.
not really.
Not so often.
No.
Yeah.
Not new construction at least. Yeah.
But yeah, it's that advantage of, hey, you own something and you're able to still live there, but at the same time you have someone that's giving you a check every month to help off balance that mortgage payment.
Yeah, yeah, and so that was the big game changer for us when we had the place in Bakersfield, then we bought the place in Coalinga, and it was a triplex. Still wish we had that triplex
I
to
know.
this day.
Regret.
But we lived
well.
in one unit, rented out the other 2. So now instead of getting one check from somebody,
Wow.
we're getting 2 checks, and we're like, oh, this is even better.
I think it covered the entire mortgage. The only thing that we had out of cost was like keeping the lights on in the carport, stuff
Or maybe
like
like
that.
the
where
lawn.
They offset the entire cost of what it would have cost us to rent living there. Yeah.
So somebody looking to do something similar, I would recommend get as many units as you can.
Yeah.
Right. So go 3, go 4.
Right.
Live
4
in-
is the maximum you can do though, right?
So if you want to get like an FHA loan, right? Like 3.5% down, a conventional 3% loan, like very low money down,
Right.
and get into home ownership, right? Then you want to stay under 4 units. If you wanted to go the more commercial route, then you can go more than 4 units.
But then you have to have like 20% down, and you don't get like the owner occupied benefits of
Right.
it.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we could there were 3 water heaters to depreciate. There were 3 ACs to depreciate. There was all this other stuff tax wise that you could take advantage of. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. And we can certainly help you with that. There's lots of opportunities out there, and keep in mind these places are probably not where you'd want to live long term, right?
Right. But just to get going.
But you know what? If you're willing to sacrifice a little in the short term, live there for 6 months, a year, then find another place. So, but I think this is really important that we touch on the top reasons why contracts are falling out. Because I mean, Valerie, for a slew of reasons, how many contracts do you think we've lost, like recently?
So like 4, I think, in the last week.
Yeah, I would say 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, we never lose contracts.
So this is decisions on the buyers, the sellers, financing not coming through.
Buyers,
people are just scared. It's all of it.
For us, it's a smattering of things, but our data sample is really small. If you look at it from a more bird's eye point of view, the number one reason why people are canceling is because of an inspection issue. The seller did not. That's 28%. 28% of homes canceled because, like, for example, Haley, we talked about this on a previous show.
Oh, yeah.
There was an issue with the main line. Haley's sellers did not inspect the main line before going on the market, and there's an issue with the main line. The main line is the sewer line that runs from the house to the street, or from the house to the
There's
alley.
a leak in it, or roots growing into it.
There was
or
an issue. It
something?
needed to be replaced. And it was going to cost, do you remember how much? Like
18 grand.
18 grand.
Oh my gosh,
So
that's crazy.
So the seller thinks they're going to make so
Yeah.
much money, and then all of a sudden it's been reduced by $18,000.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is ridiculous. It works fine. I don't need that. Another buyer comes through, and they're like, hey, the main line needs to be replaced. It's going to be 18 grand. And she's like, okay. Right? But if she had done the inspections up front, it wouldn't have been a surprise to her and wouldn't have been a surprise to her buyers. And she wouldn't have lost out on that first buyer that came through the property. She wouldn't have.
What would you advise her to do in that situation? Replace the main line, or you just tell people, hey, if you purchase this home, you might need to replace the main line. It works fine for us, but just to let you know, may down the road need to be replaced. What would you advise that person to do?
Yeah, go ahead, girly.
Well, I think every situation's a little bit different. Like, depending on the buyer's ability to do things like that, and the seller's ability too. I mean, like, there's lots of contractors that will take care of the work and then get paid through escrow. Like, there are, because a lot of people don't just have 18 grand laying around that they can do repairs like that, right? So in that scenario, I'd say get the work done, have it paid through escrow. But sometimes if you have a really savvy person, or if it's a smaller repair, not an $18,000 repair, then you can always just, give the buyer a credit and say, hey, here, you can take care of this, and then that way they can hire their own contractor or whatever they want to do with that money post-closing.
But I can see how somebody's going in, they're excited about purchasing a home, and then all of a sudden you totally change their expectations and what they thought they were buying.
Yeah.
And so they get freaked out. It's like, oh, okay, this is not what I was expecting. I'm done for now.
What we're hearing a lot of is, so to put a fine point on what Valerie said, if the lender does not require it prior to close, try to do the credit. Because as soon as people start doing work on something, sometimes the scope grows. And so now what was an 18 may end up being a 21, which now costs, if you represent the seller, more money. And it shifts the burden of responsibility off the seller onto the buyer. If you give them a credit and say, hey, here's some money, you fix it yourself, find your own contractors. That way, if you fix it and the repair fails, even years down the road, the buyer can come back and say, hey, you were supposed to fix it, you didn't, fix it again. So we strongly recommend the credit if you're able to do that and still close the deal. But what I'm hearing a lot of sellers say right now is, hey, Johnny, I'm only going to sell this house as is. This is an as-is sale. We're not going to do any repairs, no concessions, no nothing. It's an as-is sale. And so when the conversation comes up of pre-inspections, they're like, well, it doesn't matter. I'm selling it as is. They can expect whatever they want, but they're going to have to pay to fix it. And unfortunately, that's another reason why you're seeing houses fall out of escrow, is because sellers are unwilling to negotiate with buyers on, like, if buyer one wants health and safety issues fixed, if these are lender required items, guess what? Buyer two is going to want the same things.
Yep.
But it goes back to sellers are not accustomed to hearing my house is worth less. I'm not going to make as much money as my neighbor did last year. But
doesn't he have a point when he says, hey, I've made it clear it's as is?
Mm-hmm.
So every sale is an as-is sale in California. Most people don't realize that. Every sale is an as-is sale. It says it right there in the purchase agreement multiple times, as-is sale. But the buyer has the right to inspect the property. The buyer doesn't know what they're getting when they write the contract. Even if you've provided them with some seller disclosures and inspection reports, they still have the right to inspect the property. And when they get done with those inspections, your typical house is going to be a home inspection, a roof inspection, a pest inspection, and appraisal. Once they get all those reports back, then they can submit to you a request for repairs. And as the seller, because this is an as-is sale, you can either accept the request, you can flat out reject the request, or you can negotiate. And if you're unwilling to negotiate and you're just going to reject the request, then you know what? The buyer says, fine, that's totally your house, your rules. I know you only want to sell it as is. I'm going to look for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And so then the deal blows up.
You're saying that right now we're in a climate where more of these contracts are falling through.
Yep.
Well, what's going on? Why more now than 5 years ago? What's happening now that this is happening?
Yeah. So I think there's less wiggle room to negotiate. Sellers need to make top dollar, and top dollar is just not cutting it for them right now because, again, their home was worth less, and buyers are scared. Buyers are terrified. Why would I buy a house worth X today if it's going to be worth X minus $20,000 potentially in 6 months? So and you're not even going to help me out with these repairs. I'm taking on this extra risk, and you're not even willing to meet me in the middle. And also keep in mind, inventory is climbing significantly in our area. So if they don't like your house, they can find another house that they would like. They can find another seller who's willing to negotiate. Yep. So the sellers are no longer kings. They're no longer the dictators of this transaction. They have to come to the negotiation table and work it out. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of what you're seeing, sweetheart?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The negotiation has become a little bit more hardball on both sides. Like, I think that's why the contracts are getting a little bit iffy, because there's less like flexibility in people to negotiate, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was the number one reason why inspections fell through. The number two reason is the sellers got cold feet or nervous.
Buyers?
Buyers or sellers. Buyers or sellers.
Yeah.
Buyer/seller. So if they're selling and buying, right? Like we had a client recently. Valerie did a phenomenal job. By the way, we've been working with this lady for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And she's always like, hey, I'm gonna start the process after my next trip. 2 years later, we list the house. Valerie gets her an incredible offer. They are willing to wait for her to find her next property. She didn't want to even look at properties until she knew what her house was selling for, right? We wouldn't recommend that, but this is what she wanted. So Valerie's accommodating, being the professional that she is, and helping. Valerie goes out and finds her another property. This property was in contract. Valerie was able to negotiate so that way if the contract fell through, we were the next choice in line. Just by happenstance, the contract fell out. We get in there, so now Valerie has gotten the house sold, and she's gotten it negotiated for the perfect deal for her buyer/seller on this replacement property. And then, mind you, this is 2 years in the making. 2 years in the making. The seller, our client says, "Hey, you know what? I'm just nervous about the market. I'm pulling the plug on the whole thing. I'm not buying a property. I'm not selling a property. I'm staying put." Again, her choice. Totally get that. But that sentiment of uncertainty is, just by what we're seeing right here, very common in the market.
What I don't understand is people who are in that situation, they don't have any understanding of all the work that's been gone into this, right?
Well, in all fairness to them, it doesn't matter.
I know, but that's not, I don't feel like that's right. That just seems wrong. I mean, I know from your perspective it does, but you would think a person with common sense or any type of heart would understand, wait a minute, I'm making these people work and do all this stuff, and for me to just pull the plug, that's just terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, I signed up for it. Valor and I signed up for it. We're in this industry. Yeah. Like, we understand that. But who my heart hurts for are the people who, like, the person who's wanting to buy our house.
Yeah.
They were all ready to go, and now they can't buy the house. The person who's wanting to sell their house to her, now all of a sudden they can't sell their house. Like, they didn't sign up for that. They don't understand how all this works. And so I get it. Again, I'm not coming down on the client. Like, you need to do what makes you feel comfortable, but at the same time, like, your decisions have consequences beyond yourself.
Yeah, not only just the agents, like you said, but all the other clients involved, like those people that are counting on that house to move into or that money to come through that they needed. Now it's no longer there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, those are the number 2 reasons. So how you can avoid your house falling out of escrow or, anything bad happening to your situation, make sure that you have those pre-inspections done. We have a fantastic vendor, Good Life Inspections. They do almost every type of inspection you can think of. So reach out to us, madeformorerealty.com, and we can get you their contact info. And then 2, if you're going to begin this process, make sure that you're comfortable with it and willing to see it through. And make sure your buyer, if you're selling your house, is willing to see it through. Why are they buying the house? What's their motivation? How's their financing look? Make sure all those things are identified and clear, so that way there's no surprises 10, 20, 30 days down the road.
Hey, real quick, if you're thinking about selling your home and you want someone to hold your hand through the entire process, every step of the way, because you just feel like you have no idea what you're doing, no problem. Johnny Jennings and his team at Made for More Realty, they've got the experience, the know-how, the resources to make it an easy process to get you the most money possible for your home in the fastest amount of time. Just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.